What's going on, everybody? This is Sean from Gen 4 Technology, and today I'm going to be giving you a quick rundown on how to use our X Series device config tool. This tool is what you're going to use in the field to scan your network for any devices that are X Series, and the tool will allow you to configure those cameras with different IP addresses to give them their initial passwords if they need to be what's considered activated to use them, as well as some other options that we'll go into more detail in a future video. So let's go ahead and open up the device config tool. As you see, the tool will scan the network, find anything that's X Series within the network, and list them off here, generally in order of IP address for you to modify or change if needed. So we're going to run through how to change an IP address and how to change a password. But being as the password needs to be changed first, we're actually going to do the password first. So to change a password through the device config tool, what you're going to do is you're going to go to this top bar here, and you'll see one of the options is labeled initialization. Initialization, that's where you activate the camera or change its password. So once we hit this, right, I hit initialization, it's going to show me any camera or cameras that currently do not have their password changed or are not activated. As you see, the initialized status shows false. If it was activated or if the password is changed, it would show true here. So what do we do to activate the camera? You can do this with multiple cameras at the same time. Obviously, in this case, we're just going to do one camera. So we're going to select the camera, hit put a check in the checkbox here. Down here on the bottom, we're going to go ahead and fill in the new password, confirm password, and set IPC password. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my new password, confirm it, and then set it again. And then over here on the right, we're going to hit initialize. You'll see the status will update and it will say initializing, and then once it's complete, it will say device is activated and the camera's password has changed. So now that the camera's password has changed, we can move on to updating the IP address if needed. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hit search up here again. It's going to repopulate all the cameras on the network. I'm going to decide what IP address I want to give the device. So I always recommend pulling up the command prompt and pinging any IP address you want to try to use before using it. So in this case, I'm going to pull up the command prompt. You can do this by going to the search bar on any Windows computer and typing in CMD, Charlie Mike Delta, and hitting enter. And then within the command prompt, you'll type in ping whatever IP address you want to see is available. So I'm going to do .109 here. And as we see, it's likely going to give me destination unreachable for all 4 of these pings, and that's what it did. So we know that IP address is available. I can close out of the command prompt or minimize it. I can select the camera I want to adjust the IP of. So I'm going to put a checkbox here, or check mark in the checkbox. And then down here on the bottom, this is where you can update your camera's IP address. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first put in the password for the camera since I just updated that. The IP, this is where you change it to whatever IP you want to give the camera. Media port's always going to be 9000 unless you change it for some strange reason. Web port will always be 80 unless you change it again for some strange reason. Gateway will be whatever the gateway is of the schema you're using. Net mask, same thing, whatever schema you're using. And then your net mode, you want to make sure it's set to static. Once you set it to static, you hit modify. And if you scroll to the far right, you'll see it will give you a status, just like when we were changing the password. And once it's done, it will say operation succeed. And lastly, real quick, we'll go over how you can DHCP a camera. So DHCP a camera, it actually makes your life a lot easier if you have a device that can provide DHCP, right? So if you have a router, some sort of networking equipment intertwined, that will push DHCP to your devices. If you don't, you have to use the static IP route for configuring your cameras. But again, if you have a device that can DHCP, all you're going to do is you're going to go back to our list here of cameras. You're going to select the camera or cameras you want to DHCP, and I'm just going to select the one camera we're working with. You're going to go down to this IP section where we set up a static IP, and for the net mode, you're going to change it from static to DHCP mode. You're going to fill in your port, your media port, and your web port just as you did with the static setup or configuration. So 9080. You're going to make sure the password's input correctly, which it should stay what you input earlier, but if you see like the characters don't really line up, go ahead and just retype those in to be safe. And then you're going to hit modify. And what this is going to do is it's going to find an available IP address on that network you're connected to and set it to the camera. So it kind of takes away that step of running a ping using the command prompt. But again, you have to have that equipment available that actually pushes DHCP. And as you see, operation success. So that means our IP was updated. This IP address was available, so it didn't update to anything new because it didn't need to. So no, it does put this camera in DHCP mode. So see how the network mode's now set to DHCP. What this means and why static can be better in many situations is, say the router or something reboots, some sort of power situation happens, the camera can re-DHCP to a new address. So the benefit of setting it to a static is if that happens, say some sort of power situation happens and all of the cameras re-DHCP because they're set to DHCP mode, all those cameras are going to have new IP addresses, which means you're going to have to re-add them to the MVR with those new IP addresses. If you're set to a static IP, it's going to be static, so you don't have to worry about that happening upon some weird power situation or just a glitch in the matrix where, you know, like I said, everything re-DHCPs. That wraps up this video. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel for future content, and have a nice rest of your day.